Pine Curtain. This is 903 Sports. I am your host, Cameron Brown. I am being joined by Hunter Shattuck and Mason Cudd. Unfortunately, today we will not have Trent Sansom with us. He is skiing in Colorado. And we are doing this via Skype today as we've all gone back to school and Hunter is down in College Station. And before we get started on the college football game, let me give a big shout out to Hunter Shattuck for getting engaged this weekend. Pretty cool, man. So congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you.
And so let's get to the football game. Alabama beats Georgia in the national championship 26-23 in overtime. Unbelievable game. Alabama trailed 13-0 at half. Jalen Hurts was 3 for 8, had 21 yards at halftime. Nick Saban pulls the move of the century, benches his quarterback, who's 25-2 in his career, brings in Tua Tagovailoa. I'm not going to pronounce his last name again. I'm just going to call him Tua for the rest of the show. But he was 14 for 24, 166 yards, 3 touchdowns, and threw 1 pick. Came back to lead the victory for Alabama. Cud, you're an Alabama fan. I know you had a fantastic weekend, so I'm going to let you start talking about the game. So go ahead, buddy.
All right. First of all, I just want to say a little roll tide, baby. Add another championship. Yeah, it was an incredible game from start to finish. And how you were talking about how Tua came in, and I want to talk about how big his rushing was. He only had 12. His average was 12 rushes for 27 yards, but those 27 yards were huge. If you watch the game, you know he had that big time scramble on third down. It was crazy how he got away from the pressure, and then later on that drive, I believe he had another third and short that he had to lower the shoulder and get across that line. So I thought those, even though they're 27 yards, he came up big on the ground.
So, how bold was Nick Saban to make the switch, Mason, in the middle of the national championship?
Yeah, I mean, Nick Saban. I think the reporter asked him, and he even said, we just needed a spark, and I think that all along, all season, and all practice, you know, that Saban knows how good Tua really is, and he has that trust in him, I think, and then he made the switch, and it paid off.
Well, I remember watching Tua in the spring game this year, Alabama spring game, and he looked pretty good. He looked a lot better than Hurts did, and it seems like all year long Tua's been the better quarterback. It's just hard for Saban to cut the ropes on the guy that's brought him to now 2 national championships. He was SEC Player of the Year this year, and he's 25-2 as a starter. It's really hard to pull that guy, but he had a lackluster first half, 3 for 8, and they brought a spark, and it turned out to be a pretty good move.
I'm sorry, Hunter, you go ahead.
Yeah, this isn't relevant to hardly anything at all, but I couldn't help while watching him run around out there, the lefty quarterback in those white uniforms with the maroon helmets. I couldn't help but think about Ronnie Bass and Remember the Titans. I mean, come on. Looked like sunshine running around out there. I thought that was pretty cool. He looked just like him.
Yeah,
just like him.
I love it.
That's why I like the guy right there. Looked like old sunshine out there.
Remember the Titans, best movie of all time. Hands down.
No, okay. He's got game, though. The kid's got some serious game.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be great. And I think here's one thing I have to say about Nick Saban. And he is a phenomenal coach. He's the best in college football. But Nick Saban has never really developed a quarterback. He had A.J. McCarron, who was fantastic. But, other than that, what quarterback has he had and developed? Because he's getting big star quarterbacks. I think Saban's a great defensive mind, and he builds the team around his quarterback. They always have the best rushing attack in the league, always have fantastic, big, tall wide receivers, and their defense is always beyond incredible. But I will say Nick Saban's never really developed a quarterback, and I think he knows that he doesn't develop quarterbacks well, so he builds around it. But I think this Tua kid's going to be good for a long time.
Yeah. Well,
what do you think about that, Hunter?
I completely agree. It's, we talk about if you had to put together the all-Alabama team and if they were the NFL, that hypothetical that we do, the quarterback is by far the weakest thing. The quarterback and the kicker. They don't have a kicker. They might as well put Cud out there in a uniform and have him kicking.
That poor kid.
They've never had a kicker. For as long as I can remember, they haven't had somebody who could come in at the end of the game and kick a field goal. But, you're right. They've never had just the one guy that's going to come in and take over a game at the quarterback position. But this Tua kid, he looks like the real deal. And yeah, he made some pretty bonehead plays, but he's a true freshman playing the national championship. Yeah, you're gonna make some bonehead plays, but he has a cannon. And I don't know. He just seems like he has the right demeanor to be a star quarterback. You know what I mean?
He does. Speaking of demeanor, Jalen Hurts again, man. I was incredibly impressed with him.
Yeah.
He was cheering him on the sideline. He was in the huddle. His interview after the game talking about now he just wants to win the national championship, and he was cheering on Tua. And I thought that was really cool to see because that
a class act.
Man, that has to hurt. Get benched in the national championship, and that's got to sting.
For sure. And it's one thing just to get benched in the national championship, but to have everybody watching and everybody, like the whole world knows that you just lost your job because you weren't performing, and then the kid that comes in wins the football game, and that makes you look really bad.
Right.
But for him to still have that demeanor and carry himself the way he did was incredible.
I think that's the last game Jalen Hurts ever plays for Alabama, unless he wants to switch positions.
Yeah.
But I don't see him ever playing quarterback again for Alabama, which is incredible to me. 25-2. That's never happened.
Yeah, that's a lot of wins.
I mean, let that sink in. 25-2, and the kid's probably never going to play quarterback there again.
So I heard the other day that this 4-year Alabama class, so I guess 2014 to 17, whatever that would be, 4-year period in there, they won 53 games, which breaks the record of like the 2012 to 2015 Alabama team that won 51 games or something like that. I mean, that's just an unbelievable level of dominance. You talk about how Jalen Hurts has won 25 games.
Yeah.
It's insane how good
in the two national championships.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and it's not like he's a scrub. You know, he lost his job, but he's a good football player. He's just not a good passer.
Right. Right. He's a good college quarterback. He just doesn't really have the accurate arm.
Yeah, he's a heck of an athlete, though. I think he could change positions and be pretty good.
I think he's either going to transfer and play quarterback somewhere else, or I think he's going to stay at Bama and maybe play running back. Mason, you go to Alabama. What do you give us what you think on that about Jalen Hurts?
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say, big time shout out for how Jalen Hurts handled himself and how he was the first person out there off the field to give Tua a high five or pat on the back for a great play. He was there the whole time, and he could have been on the bench pouting and all that kind of stuff, but he wasn't. And then I wanted to add another thing about Najee Harris, another freshman. He ran the ball 6 times for 64 yards, which is 10.7 carry.
And he was big in that fourth quarter.
Down. Yeah, he's our freshman running back that we got this last recruiting class.
Wow.
And I'm talking about, Tua, a freshman stepping up in the big time game. Also, that big time running from Najee Harris really helped us. Cameron, you were talking about Jalen Hurts. I think that he would, his personality, the way he handled, taking that back seat in that second half, is I could see him honestly playing, backup here, and he would be utilized in the offense. Like, he's a big guy, like Cameron, you were talking about, like maybe playing a different position. I think he still could be used on our team, still not being, the starting quarterback. That's what I think.
Right. Could you almost see him being like how Tebow and Chris Leak used to split time at Florida? Could you see him just coming in on like a goal line package and run just a specific package of the offense? You think that could happen?
I think like you were just saying, like different like a special team or like a jumbo package down there, or different formations and different maybe like a trick play, So I think that he could be definitely utilized in the offense.
I definitely see him. Go ahead, Hunter. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say if he does transfer, I mean, it's no secret that the guy can't really pass the football. Do you think he could go to another high-profile team and play quarterback?
I think that he could. I do think that he does obviously struggle, with throwing the football, but I think he could go to a different program, and it depends on what conference he goes in, because he could, go to a lesser conference and then he could put up better numbers, but, I think that he could go to a good team, and maybe if, the rest of their team, in the other aspects, maybe they could put together a little nice run, I don't know.
Well, I'll tell y'all this. I'll definitely take Jalen Hurts for my Tennessee Volunteers, and I think they'd take him too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's not a Heisman winning quarterback, and I think being at Bama and his surroundings makes him better. But I think the kid's still a winner, and I think he could get a team that's in the dumps right now, like Tennessee, to 7-8 wins maybe first year there. I mean, I'd take him personally at Tennessee. I'm sure they would too, but
yeah,
I know we'd love to have him at Baylor. That's for sure.
He could definitely start quarterback somewhere.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
In my personal opinion, I actually think he loves Alabama, and him being a class act like he was, I think just shows how much he loves it there. So I could see him.
Exactly. That's what I was saying.
I could see Saban throwing him in the offense in some kind of way, and Hurts graduating at Alabama playing some other position because he's a good athlete.
Exactly.
But let's segue off the college football a little bit. Cud, give me your Cud's lost soul of the week.
Oh my gosh, the lost soul of the week. This week I have the Bills offensive coordinator Rick Dennison. Okay.
Oh,
so if anybody watched the wild card game against Jacksonville Jaguars, in the first half, the Bills got down on the 1 yard line, and it was 1st and goal from the 1, and Mr. Dennison decided to call a pass play, and it, I think, was a fade route to Kelvin Benjamin, and then end up getting a offensive pass interference, which backed him up to the 13-yard line, I believe. And then I think they jacked around, did some pass incompletion, and then I think they got sacked. So they ended up having to settle for a field goal, and then eventually going on to lose the game 10-3. And later in that game, they were in field goal position. So if they punched that in right there on the goal line, Cameron and Hunter, I mean, that game could have gone to overtime, And so I don't know. I thought that was pretty bad.
I can't stand when teams stole the ball on the 1 yard line.
It's horrible.
Your best player is your running back, especially with Buffalo. LaShawn McCoy is their best player. Run the ball up the middle. Don't get cute. Just that is awful.
You know what else, Cameron?
What's that?
Guess who the Bills have behind LaShawn McCoy?
Mike
Tolbert. 5'9", 250-pound man.
Jeez, run him up the middle. No one's stopping him.
If you can't send that guy up the middle and get 1 yard, then then you got other problems. But I thought it was a horrible play call.
That's bad. Well, let's talk some NFL. Let's talk about the playoff games on this weekend. We'll start with the game you just talked about, Mason, the Bills and the Jaguars. This game was the worst playoff game I've ever seen in my entire life. This game was 10-3. There was one touchdown in this game, and I'll give you guys a nickel if you can tell me who it was that scored this touchdown.
Yeah, I'm out on that nickel bet there. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually, I don't know.
A 1 yard touchdown pass from Jacksonville to this man named Ben Koyak.
Oh.
Cam, where did he go to college?
I've never heard of Ben Koyak, so I could not tell you where he went to college.
I'm about to look it up.
Ben Koyak was the only guy who got a touchdown. Blake Bortles had 88 rushing yards and 87 passing yards in this football game.
Ben Koyak went to Notre Dame.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
7th round pick.
I don't know if he's a tight end or a fullback or what, but
yeah, he's listed as a tight end.
Tight end. Behind Mercedes Lewis. He's probably second string there.
Yep.
He was the only touchdown of the game. I had the flu, and I watched about half of this game. It was unbearable to watch. Did any of you two watch this game? Mason, did you watch this game on Saturday?
I was actually driving back to Tuscaloosa, so I listened to this game on the radio, and like you were saying, it was just boring. I mean, a pillow fight. It was terrible.
It makes me sad because I really wanted the Chargers to be in the playoffs, and the Chargers are far better team than Buffalo. And I think they're better. They're a better team than Jacksonville too.
I agree. Keenan Allen would have had a field day on those.
Oh yeah, and the Jaguars have a good defense, but Buffalo's offense is just a joke.
Yeah.
And poor Nathan Peterman came in at the end of the game, and he threw a pick. Of course he did.
No, yeah, he was doomed.
I think that kid's played 4 quarters of football this year, and he's got about 8 interceptions on the season.
That's bad.
That's real bad. So we'll
Yeah.
Anything you got to say about that game, Hunter, before we go to another one?
Well, I mean, I didn't watch the game, but obviously you look at the score, you read the stat line, and it's so clear that Buffalo just has no offensive firepower anyway, especially against the Jacksonville defense. But Blake Bortles is just not a good quarterback, and I'm on record on this podcast saying that he's actually not that bad, and that he could get them deep into the playoffs, and that's just horribly incorrect. And he's just not a good quarterback. It's that simple, and which is good for them because this offseason there are going to be a bunch of really solid quarterbacks who could come in and do what they need to do next year, like an Alex Smith or a Kirk Cousins or somebody like that, because they have all the tools except for a quarterback. So I think long term they'll be just fine, but they're just not. I don't think it'll be close at all this weekend against Pittsburgh.
So let's talk about that real quick. There are some good quarterbacks coming in. There'll be some good free agent quarterbacks this year, and there'll be some decent ones in the draft. So if you're a team like the Denver Broncos or the New York Jets, who have some good pieces on their team, they just don't have a quarterback. Who do you want? Would you rather draft a QB? Would you rather draft like a Baker Mayfield, or would you rather have Alex Smith or Kirk Cousins? What do you think, Hunter? Who would you rather have?
To me, it depends on the price tag. For me, I think Kirk Cousins is not really a very good option because he's going to be really, really expensive. I like, personally, if I could handpick for your Jets, I would probably pick Alex Smith because I know what I'm getting with Alex Smith, because he's a I don't want to say a proven quarterback, but he's at least competent,
Right.
You know what you're going to get. He's a solid NFL starting quarterback, and because in the draft, there are just no sure things. And so I don't really like what I see from any of the guys coming out of the draft enough to pick them over Alex Smith.
Right.
So, but you never know. Like, you could get a guy like Darnold who looks very raw with a lot of polishing that he needs to do. You could get him come in, get under the right system for a couple of years, and be potentially a Hall of Famer. You just never know.
Right. I agree with that. I'd like to see Alex Smith play for my Jets next year. I think he's a game manager. I know he probably hates to hear that, but he is. And he's got the Chiefs to the playoffs the last couple of years, and he played pretty good on Saturday. He doesn't
the game changer, or not game manager title it's kind of got a negative connotation, but that's really, if you have other pieces, that's all you need.
Right.
Obviously it'd be nice to have an Aaron Rodgers guy who can put a team on his back like that. But if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars and you have literally everything but a decent quarterback, you don't need somebody that's going to carry your team because you want to take advantage of Leonard Fournette. If you've got Aaron Rodgers, that automatically takes the ball away from Fournette at least 5 or 6 times a game. So you don't really want that on. You know what I mean? And I know it's stupid to say you wouldn't want an Aaron Rodgers type, but I think you get my point.
I got your point. And Alex Smith had 5 interceptions all year. He really takes care of the football. He makes smart plays. He's not a guy that's going to sling it all over the field. But
didn't Peterman throw 5 in one half?
He did, and he's thrown more in the games he's came in. He feel bad for the kid. He's just not ready to play, and the Bills have kind of thrown him under the bus. But I think it'd be good for the Jets to have an Alex Smith or somebody like that that just doesn't turn the ball over. And the Jets went to the AFC Championship that was probably 7 or 8 years ago, and they had Mark Sanchez as their quarterback both years. If you have a great defense, I'm not saying the Jets have a great defense. I'm more talking about Jacksonville. If you have a great defense and you have great pieces around him, if you have just a decent quarterback, he can get you at least close. He can give your fans some hope. I don't know if Alex Smith could ever win a Super Bowl, but he's definitely going to get you to 10 wins every year and maybe win a playoff game or 2. And a team like Jacksonville, I don't see what's wrong with that. Baby steps for the Jaguars. This is maybe their second playoff appearance.
If he gets them into the playoffs and maybe wins the first or second game in the playoffs, then all of a sudden you're in the conference championship game. And then if you get hot, he can get hot and be a really, really good quarterback. So if he just gets hot at the right time, I think you could win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's just you got to get in the right system and obviously get a little lucky.
Well, Mason, what do you think? What quarterback would you want to build your team around if you were Denver or Jacksonville or the Jets?
Well, actually, I want to go back to what we were talking about, Blake Bortles. Yeah, I'm going to read you his little stats that he had. He threw 12 for 23 for only 87 yards.
Yes.
But he had 10 rushing attempts for 88 yards.
Yeah, and that won the game, him being able to run on the ground. But
he found, like, I agree that Blake Bortles really isn't the best option,
yeah,
But looking at the numbers, that's pretty sweet how he not really had a good passing day, but he found another way to affect the game and help his team.
yeah, and I think that was good on his part, but I don't think that guy's ever going to advance his team to be better.
I agree. I just looking at the stats.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I mean, I think that is pretty cool how he found another way to help his team win that game. But he looks scared to throw the ball in that playoff game.
I agree.
He does take a lot of crap.
Yeah, and they just need somebody who's not a liability at quarterback. They just need, because they're so good but Blake Bortles is like bringing them down. So they just need a quarterback that's going to not hinder the other assets that they have on the team. And I mean, he's clearly not that guy.
Right. They just need somebody to not turn the ball over, be a game manager, and Alex Smith would be a pretty decent fit. So you think Jacksonville should keep Blake Bortles, Mason?
I don't know. I mean, like you were saying, where Hunter was pointing out how some quarterbacks that have a little bit more experience under their belt that are coming on the market this offseason, And I'll tell you what about the Jets. I think that if they knew that they could get I guess maybe an Alex Smith or maybe Kirk Cousins, maybe if they have some maybe some want or some interest into playing for the Jets. If not, I'm saying the Jets should draft the man Baker Mayfield.
I'd love that too.
I think that they should draft him over Rosen or Darnold if they're available. I don't,
I think they'll be taken before the Jets get to their pick. But
yeah,
I like
him.
I'll throw in what I want for the Jets real quick. I think the Jets should keep my man Josh McCown for one more year. Draft Baker, let Baker learn under Josh, and then let Baker go after that. I mean, let him play and let him see what he's got. I think Baker Mayfield is the best quarterback in this draft. I think he's an accurate passer. I mean, his off-the-field stuff, to me, is probably what's going to hinder him. If he can keep his head on right, that's why I think a guy like Josh McCown would be good for him. But he's much more accurate than Rosen and Darnold and Josh Allen, those other guys. But let's get to the Chiefs on Saturday. What in the world happened to the Chiefs? They were dominating a very weak Titans team. They were up 21-3 at half. My man Kareem Hunt had 7 carries for 42 yards at the half. And then the Chiefs just completely went away from their game plan. They ran Kareem Hunt 4 times in the second half. A team that runs the ball, needs to establish a run game, needs to run about 20 times a game. They just kept throwing the ball to Alex Smith, and Alex Smith played a decent game. He was 24 for 33, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he was pretty decent. But Alex Smith doesn't need to be throwing the ball 33 times a game. And Kareem Hunt leads the league this year in rushing yards, and why you shy away from him in the second half, I just don't understand. And I think Andy Reid's a great coach, but what the heck was going on with the Chiefs? No points against Tennessee in the second half. What do you think, Mason?
I want to add that, what you said, Kareem Hunt getting
4 carries. 4 carries.
Yeah, 4 carries in the second half. That's
awful.
That horrible play calling. And then I remember, Cameron, you had texted me before this game when I was driving home, and I told Cameron that I thought the secrets to the game was only if Derrick Henry can get the rushing game going. And my man, Roll Tide, had 23 rushes for 156 yards and 1 touchdown. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, he came through for the Titans big time.
Go ahead, Hunter.
So Cud, I want to kind of touch on something that you said there. So we were saying how Kareem Hunt had 11 total carries in the game.
Yeah.
And how many did Derrick Henry have? 23, Cud?
Yes.
And didn't the Chiefs 18 points up at half?
Yeah, 21-3 at half.
Okay, so you're telling me that you're Andy Reid and you have Kareem Hunt, who's by far a much better back than Derrick Henry.
Right.
I mean, that's like he's a better running back. And you also have an 18-point lead playing at home, yet Derrick Henry got more than double the carries that Kareem Hunt did on the game. How does that work? I don't understand why you don't give him the ball more.
That's pure incompetence to me by a Hall of Fame coach, too. I don't understand.
And the thing about this, how often do we say that? How often do we say, yeah, so-and-so only touched the ball 6 times in the second half? Like, how hard is it to hand it off to your best player? It's not that hard, especially with a lead. I don't understand it. I don't get why coaches. I don't know if they kind of flinch and they panic a little bit, or I don't know what it is. But I feel like too often we say so and so only touched the ball 5 times in the second half, and it even happens in basketball. You know, you get like. I remember it happened to Tim Duncan one time at some point. And yeah, Tim Duncan only touched the ball 3 times in the fourth quarter or whatever. Like, I don't understand why you go away from your best player in crunch time. To me, that just looks like you get under pressure and you panic and you don't really know what you're doing.
Which is weird to me. Andy Reid's a great football coach, and
I know. He's been around the block a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
It blew my mind. But, I mean, and the Chiefs suffer for it. They've lost 6 straight playoff home games. How about that?
That's horrible.
Horrible.
That's rough. I mean, and I thought they'd dominate Tennessee on Saturday, and they looked like they were in the first half. Now, Travis Kelce did go out in the second half, but one receiver should determine an 18-point lead. I mean, there's no excuse for what the Chiefs did in the second half of that game. But I want to ask you all this before we move on. Did y'all see Marcus Mariota's touchdown pass to himself?
Unbelievable.
That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life.
That's the ultimate stat booster.
He got 10 points on DraftKings for that one pass.
Whoa, did they really?
Yeah, he got points for a passing TD and a receiving TD.
No way.
Sure did.
Wow.
Did he get the point for the reception?
He did. So he had 11 points for that one play.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
And he played decent. I mean, this is what Alex Smith – actually, he threw the ball 31 times. He was 19 for 31, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the receiving touchdown. So he played pretty well. And how many yards did Derrick Henry have, Mason? 158, did you say?
156.
I mean, that's a good win for Tennessee. I thought they were going to get blown out. I doubted them, so I apologize to the Tennessee Titans. I mean, they looked good in the second half. They didn't quit. Their defense looked pretty good. And now they get to go be steamrolled by New England on Sunday or Saturday night. But I'm going to move on and talk about – I'm going to touch on the Carolina Saints game. That was probably the best game of the weekend. New Orleans winning 31-26. Cam Newton was a surprise for me at 349 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, and the Saints were able to come out with a win, only having 45 rushing yards. So I thought that was interesting. The best rushing team in the NFL had 45 rushing yards. So Carolina's D is pretty good. And that was a heck of a football game. But I'll move on to what I really want to talk about the NFL. The Los Angeles Rams, 26-13 loss at home to the Falcons. They were terrible Sunday. I was really upset with how they played. I mean, I picked them on my 2 picks last week. The Rams -6 at home. I didn't think Atlanta was a very good football team. And I was wrong there. I mean, Mason, what did you think about that game and how the Rams kind of collapsed at home?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they just looked horrible. They looked flat-footed. I mean, they didn't look like they were it just didn't look like the Rams. And especially to an Atlanta team that has had their ups and downs all season. And
yeah.
I'll tell you what really killed the Rams is they had 2 punt and kick return fumbles.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Pharaoh Cooper.
And Pharaoh Cooper, I believe, had a receiving. He caught a ball and then fumbled. I think. I'm not real sure, but the turnovers did not help for sure. Yeah,
the Rams were ranked number 1 in the league in special teams production, and they had, what, you say 2 or 3 turnovers on special teams?
They had 2 turnovers on special teams.
Yeah, and Pharaoh Cooper is in the Pro Bowl. So, I mean, I think they just showed their youth. I don't know if they weren't ready or they were just kind of panicked in this game. But I'll say back to what you were saying earlier, Hunter, about going away from your game plan. Todd Gurley, guess how many rushing yards he had, fellas? I mean, rushing attempts he had this week.
No
14.
idea.
14. Guy who averages, I believe, 23 a game or so, had 14 rushing attempts this entire game.
Well, see,
From
that
the
makes
ball.
more sense because you've got a first-year head coach. But I mean, so I guess it's not an excuse, but you understand why he kind of flinches,
Yeah.
But there's no excuse for Andy Reid. I mean,
Yeah, I agree with that.
But it's all too common that you go away from your horse.
Right. I will say, I think Sean McVay, in my opinion, is the coach of the year. Turned around that Rams team. He did a great job. I just think the Rams are young. I don't think they were ready for this game. And they're not even in their home stadium right now. They're playing in like I don't know what it is. They're just using it right now, I guess. That game didn't even look very packed.
Yeah, they're playing in the Coliseum, I believe.
Is that where they're going to play for the future, or are they moving somewhere else?
No, they're building a big time stadium.
Okay.
I believe next year. I could be wrong. Maybe the next.
Okay. I mean, the Rams had a good year. They just didn't play well this weekend. I will say, the NFC North, the Falcons impressed me. That NFC North with Carolina, New Orleans, and Atlanta. Pretty good division, man. The Carolina and New Orleans was a dogfight. And the Falcons on the road to a good Rams team, they got the win. And the Falcons play at Philadelphia this week, who's got Nick Foles at quarterback. I mean, it could be Saints versus Falcons NFC South championship in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, they got some tough ball up there.
Hunter, so who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl, Hunter? Who is your pick?
Man, I mean, this sounds super cliche, but my pick was the New England Patriots. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Saints pull it out, just because I believe in Drew Brees. I think he's great. It's just he's always been the guy there. That's it. It's the anti-Jacksonville Jaguars. They have a quarterback and not much else. But this year they've got Alvin Kamara. They have Mark Ingram. They have a really good defense, and it's basically the perfect storm if you're a New Orleans Saints fan. So I think, actually, in my mind, they're the favorite to come out of the NFC. But I mean, I just learned never to bet against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a pretty safe bet. Let me talk about my Cams too real quick. Last week I went 1-1, so I'm 3-3 on the year. I'm 500. I hit Buffalo Bills +9. They won. I mean, they covered in that garbage football game, and then I had the Rams at home, and they let me down. I did not expect them to lay an egg like they did. So this week, I'm going to go with 2 road teams this week. I'm going to take the Saints +4.5 at Minnesota. I like Drew Brees versus Case Keenum. I'm just going quarterback matchup there. I think the Saints are the best team in the NFC. I think they win that one in a close one, and the Saints getting points. I just like New Orleans. And I like the Falcons -3 at Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia lays an egg with Nick Foles this Sunday. It's going to be tough to win a playoff game against a hot Falcons team. They are at home, which is their advantage. But I like Atlanta on the road. So those are my Cams 2 this week. Thoughts on those 2 picks, fellas? Agree, disagree?
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
especially with it. Well, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, because I guess the Saints are a dome team playing in Minnesota. I just think that. Yeah, exactly. I think that's. I mean, it doesn't negate the home field, but usually if you're a dome team and you travel north to play in the playoffs, you got to deal with it, like how Atlanta's going to Philly. You got to deal with the cold, but I mean, they're going to another dome. They'll be just fine.
Right.
They'll be just fine.
All right, boys. This is my favorite Power 5, Hunter. This was your idea. This is Power 5 TV characters. Hunter, I'll let you start the show since this was your idea.
All right. So mine are relatively predictable. Number 5 for me is Dwight K. Schrute from The Office. He's, just an all-timer. 4, Josh Nichols from Drake and Josh.
Oh, good pick. Sleeper pick there.
Yeah, he's incredible. Joey Tribbiani comes in at number 3 for me. He's the man. Cam, you don't like How I Met Your Mother, but Barney Stinson comes in at number 2 for me.
Okay.
Cam, I've been telling you for years you need to watch How I Met Your Mother. It's incredible. It changed your life. And then, at no surprise, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be the only one with this guy in this spot. Number 1 is Michael Scott. Just, it's classic. He's the man.
I did not have Michael Scott on my entire list, actually.
Me neither.
Both of you are failures as Office fans.
He's not my favorite Office character. I like him.
He's incredible. He makes the show, though.
He does.
He is the heart and soul of the show.
I just hated him so much at the beginning, and he grew on me, and I love him now.
But that's part of it, though. Like, you go back and rewatch the first couple seasons, and it's just, you love him for being such an idiot. It's awesome. It's great. But, yeah, those are my top 5.
All right. So, Mason, go ahead. Give us your top 5 TV characters.
Okay, coming in at number 5, I have Jim Halpert.
Oh.
Just the all around just stud, the man. Number 4, Walter White from Breaking Bad. One of my favorite shows. It was actually the first TV show I ever watched. So I love his character in that show. Number 3, Ron Swanson in Parks and Rec. Oh my gosh, just every time you hear that guy talk, it's just going to make you laugh. And then number 2, Dwight K. Schrute, the stud of them all. Nobody can outbeat Dwight. Number 1, my favorite, just all around character, Joey Tribbiani from Friends.
Good pick.
He's the man.
I love Joey. Wait, so hold on. When you said that Breaking Bad was the first TV show you ever watched, are you pulling a Trent like you didn't have TV before then, or
no,
what are we doing here?
I never really got into the TV series, and then I was just like,
like the first one you watched from start to finish is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay. Now we're on the same page here. I was confused. All right, we're good.
All right, so I'll give you my top 5. My number 5 is Walter White. I'm not as big of a Breaking Bad fan as everybody else is, but I do think Walter White is an awesome character, so I'll throw him in at number 5. Number 4, Jim Halpert. Jim Halpert is just like us, guys. We can hang out with Jim Halpert. He's cool. He's the man. He gets Pam after being stuck in the friend zone. I love Jim Halpert. And then number 3 is Joey Tribbiani. He is probably the funniest character of all the TV shows I've ever watched. He's hilarious. I love Friends. And my number 2 is Dwight Schrute. He's a different kind of funny than Joey. He, in my opinion, Dwight makes The Office, but he would be my number 2. And number 1, I'm like Mason. This is the first TV show I ever watched from start to finish. I'm a diehard Prison Break fan. Michael Scofield is my number 1.
I knew it.
He's the most clever human ever. I love Prison Break, and he'd be my number 1. So let's throw a curveball here. Let's let producer Pete give us his top 5.
This is my first appearance out here. Hunter, you stole my number 5. It was Josh Nichols from Drake and Josh.
Good pick.
Yeah, you're welcome for that, Pete. I stole your thunder.
You stole my number 5. That was my hidden little pick. Now, my number 4, I forgot about Joey. My number 4 is Ross.
Oh,
I completely forgot about Joey.
Ross is a bum.
I will say Ross has some awesome shows like dedicated to him.
Ross owns the best quote in the whole show is when he screams "pivot" at the top of his lungs when they're moving that couch up the stairs.
Ross is funny.
God.
You cannot tell me you did not laugh at the spray tan episode.
Oh, he's got some funny episodes.
Or the episode where he's got the leather pants and he can't get them on, or can't get them back on.
That's an incredible episode.
He has the best episodes, I'm telling you.
He does.
Joey has some good quotes, but Ross has the best episodes.
That's fair.
Number 3 is Jim Halpert. Just a great character. I mean, you can't go wrong with him. Now, my number 1 and 2 are about tied. I can't pick over each other. They're Ron Swanson.
That's not allowed. You got to pick one. Sorry.
You have to pick, Pete.
Ron is number 2. Ron Swanson, number 2. And sadly, Dwight goes slightly over Ron. They're both just funny.
So Hunter was the only one that had Michael Scott on his whole list.
He's overrated. Michael is overrated.
Let's think about this. We had one person who was in all of our lists, and it was Dwight.
It was Dwight.
What does that say about us as human beings?
Cud, did you not have
That
Jim?
is crazy. Pete didn't have.
We all had Joey, right?
No, Pete didn't have Joey.
No, because Pete had Ross over Joey.
Ross is funny, guys. I have to give you that.
Wait, Cud, did you not have Jim?
I didn't. Oh yeah, we all had Jim. No, Hunter didn't have Jim.
I didn't have Jim.
No.
Jim. I don't know. I wanted to put Jim was number 6.
Okay. Yeah. I thought you meant number 6 in The Office. I was like, whoa.
Oh no. Yeah. I tell you who else is a sleeper pick from The Office is my boy Kevin Malone. Now don't sleep on Kevin.
Wonderful pick.
That is incorrect. Stanley is funnier than Kevin.
No, let's not get carried away.
That's another debate for another time.
All right.
All right, boys. So we need to move on. Let's talk a little college basketball. I'm a big college basketball fan, and I was pretty heated last night. So last night you've got number 8 in the country. I believe number 8 is Texas Tech, and number 9 is Oklahoma. I could be wrong.
Yes.
But they're playing.
No,
they're playing.
That's it.
They're playing each other in Norman. Top 10 battle, and the game is on ESPNU. Everyone's talking about how college basketball's dying and no one wants to watch it anymore. But when you put a top 10 matchup on ESPNU, which is a really good game, Trae Young, best player in the country, plays for Oklahoma. He was in prime time. I mean, he wasn't in prime time last night. He's playing on ESPNU.
Yeah, and it's not even that. It's not like they had a great game on ESPN or like a different sporting event on ESPN. They had, wasn't it A&M and Kentucky?
It was Kentucky and Texas A&M, and that was a good game. But Kentucky,
good game. But
they're on ESPN every time they play. Every single time Kentucky plays, they're on ESPN.
Yeah,
it just gets on my nerves. And they're fun to watch. And this Kentucky team's not even that great this year. They're like 22 or 23. And they had West Virginia and Baylor on ESPN too, I believe, which all those games were pretty good games last night. But I was just disappointed. They've got to put the best game in prime time for everybody to watch, because I love college basketball and I want to see it grow and I want to see it be a big time thing and not just be a March sport. That's when everyone seems to tune in, is in March. And I think it's fun to watch in the regular season too when they have the right games on and not just Kentucky. I mean, Hunter, you're a big college basketball fanatic. I mean, what do you think about college hoops and what do they need to do and all that? Well, God, I think we lost Hunter.
Oh,
I'll
I'll just say a couple things.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, like you were saying about, what kind of games do they have on what channels? And, it kind of sucks how, not just in college basketball, is, a majority of different leagues and things like that, there's a handful of teams that kind of get the most love, to the media and the channels and things like that. That's got to change in all aspects.
I agree.
So, yeah, I agree with that. Trae Young, big time player. I mean, and they got a good team.
Yeah.
And they had a hell of a game against Tech. So, I mean, yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
One thing I'll say about the NBA is the NBA always has the best game of the night on. And I think it's easy because in the NBA, usually you know who's going to be good. It's such a star-driven league. But, okay. All right, so we had some technical difficulties there. Something happened with Hunter's mic, but he's back on now. So, Hunter, give me your take on college basketball. What needs to happen? I know you love college basketball like I do and like Mason does, but what needs to happen to make the product better, or what do they need to do?
Well, I mean, a lot of things need to happen, but that's a bunch of big picture stuff that I don't really want to get into, like guys need to stay longer and all that kind of stuff to make the actual quality of basketball better. But as far as this year goes, I mean, you're completely right about putting – like, I know that maybe Oklahoma and Texas Tech aren't blue blood college basketball teams, but they're the teams right now. Like, they're the teams that are top 10 teams in the country. They're playing each other, and they should be on ESPN. Like, if a college basketball game is going to be on ESPN, it needs to be that one. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not – I don't know. That's not a good look. And maybe Kentucky draws better ratings, but I think the casual college basketball fan would want to see a top 10 matchup over a blue blood playing an unranked team. Now, I get it. Texas A&M is a good basketball team, but they're not a top 10 opponent. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I got you.
So I don't know, but I was thinking about it last night because, Oklahoma and Texas Tech are both Big 12 teams. They're top 10. And I was thinking about how, and obviously I was watching the Baylor West Virginia game because, my Bears were putting up a pretty good fight. West Virginia's number 2 in the country, and I know Kansas is good. And I got to thinking about how good is the Big 12 this year? And
very good. And
they're incredible. So they have. I did a little bit of research here, and so they have 5 teams in the top 25. The ACC has 6 teams in the top 25, but 4 of those are 18, 19, 20, and 23. So they're kind of on the bottom half, and the Big 12 has number 2, 8, 9, 12, and 16. So
wow,
and that's really, really impressive. But then what's crazy to me is how few teams the Big 10 has. The Big 10 has 2 ranked teams, and that's it. Now they're number 4 and 5 in the country, but only 2 ranked teams. And the Big 10 is usually a really, really competitive basketball conference. But
I got something to add to that, Hunter. Michigan State's down by 1 to Rutgers at home right now with 8 seconds to go.
gosh, Michigan State's a good basketball team.
It's been a weird year in college basketball. All these big-time teams keep going down. And
No, I mean, the lack of quality basketball is a real issue. And, I mean, I know we love upsets and we love parity and we love how there's not, like, one dominant team. But man, at some point, you've got to have just teams that are better than everybody else. You have to have those 2, 3, or 4 teams that kind of build chemistry over the span of 2 or 3 years as opposed to just through the fall off season. You know what I mean?
right.
And so I don't know. Not to get into this whole debate, but I really feel like the student athletes need to stay longer. I feel like to me that's the only way that there's really going to be a true separation in the really, really good teams and the not as good teams.
I agree
because
with
right now you've got teams that are, I mean, most schools are starting 2 or 3 freshmen, so there's not a very good team chemistry. So I just feel like that even though you may be more talented, you're going to be off on nights. And if one team who is obviously a lesser team gets hot, then you're beat. And that's not really your own fault. That's just the fault of the system.
This year is the year for teams with experience. Villanova, West Virginia, Michigan State, Wichita State, and Purdue are the top 6 teams, and none of those teams are known for one-and-dones. Tom
That's
Izzo
true.
usually keeps his guys. Huggins always keeps his guys. Those Villanova guys stick around. So I was just kind of looking at that, and those are the top teams right now. I think West Virginia is the best team in the country right now. They've won 15 games in a row.
They should have got beat last night.
Who'd they play? Oh, they played Baylor last night.
Yes. Dadgummit.
They're a good team, though.
Who, West Virginia?
Yeah. Big 12 is really good, like you were saying.
I think Baylor has a good team this year. Now
They do.
We have, I think that's 4 losses now in the season. No, 5 losses now in the season, and they're all to ranked opponents. So obviously we haven't beat a ranked opponent, but we haven't lost a bad team. So that's it's kind of the double-edged sword there. But I don't know. I think that we almost panicked a little bit the last minute and a half of the game last night. Things started getting crazy, ran around a little bit, played bad defense. But I wouldn't be surprised if Baylor made a run this year.
I could see it. I could see a lot of teams in the Big 12 making a big push. I could see the Big 12 getting almost all their teams in the tournament except for a couple.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, Texas is really competitive.
Yeah, they are. Iowa State's even competitive. They had Kansas down the ropes last night.
Yeah. Now let's talk about that though. Kansas is having a down year. I mean, they're still ranked 12 in the country, but
So
that's
is
a down year for Kansas. Yeah. I mean,
both those teams.
Kansas is the most consistent team maybe in all of sports over the past 15 years. And they're not really great this year. They're just good.
They're losing these games at home, which is very rare.
They don't lose games at home.
I think Bill Self had like 11 home losses or something coming into this season, or maybe 10.
I know he has at least 2 this year. Are all 3 of their losses at home?
No, I think 2 of them are at home. One's a neutral site. I'll say this: Scott Drew has more losses in Allen Fieldhouse than Bill Self did coming into this season.
Yeah, I remember that last year. Yeah, I'm very familiar with that stuff.
Well, let's move on from college basketball. Let's talk about next podcast. Let's talk about get into players needing to stay and all that. We need to get some more college hoops on this podcast.
I like that. I've got, I feel pretty strongly about that. So we'll talk about it.
I like that. So let's move on. Cuds, who the hell are you? Cud, who you got this week?
This week I got. It's actually one of my good. Or you'll see. Who the hell is Davis Bertans?
Oh,
my man plays for my Spurs. Anyways, he played 31 minutes and he got 28 points, 3 assists, 11 of 15 shooting, 6 from 9 from downtown, and 2 blocks off the bench for my Spurs.
Wow.
And they played the Kings and won 107-100. And they didn't play without Kawhi, Danny Green, or Manu, who has been playing really very, very good off the bench.
Cud, that might be your highest point scorer for who the hell are you so far.
I think we got a new winner for the number 1 place.
28 points. That's a lot for a guy off the bench.
Yeah.
What's his first name? Davis? Is his name Davis, Cud?
Davis.
Davis. Who the hell are you? Davis Bertans. He's the redhead, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's really tall. He's 4'2". I mean, it's 4'2". His number is 42.
Well, let's get on to let's talk about Hunter's golf analysis. He's been dying to talk about this from last week. Dustin Johnson won the golf tournament this weekend. What did he win, Hunter? By eight shots?
Eight shots.
Dominant.
8 shots.
So let's hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, I won't bore everybody with golf for too long, but that's about all I know. So he won, like you said, by 8 shots over Jon Rahm, who Jon Rahm sneaky just moved up to number 3 in the world. So
Wow.
Think about that. Yeah, number 3 player in the world. Anyway, so Dustin Johnson's now won in the last 11 seasons on the PGA Tour. He has at least one win. And now he's up to number 5 in all-time career earnings in PGA Tour history. So
that's really good.
Dustin Johnson's like moving up the list of best players of all time.
He is.
Obviously he drives the golf ball really, really well. He hits it a country mile and hits it straight. But I mean, he does a lot of other things really well and getting a lot better the last 2 years. If he keeps improving, then I mean, he won't get into Tiger territory as far as like career where he ranks. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if when it's all said and done, he's a top 10, 12 player of all time. I mean, he's got that kind of game.
I would agree with that, actually.
I mean, now he only does have the one major, but I mean, who's to say he can't win 2 this year, you know?
Right.
I mean, when he's on, he's just so hard to beat because he hits it so far and so straight, and he's actually a really good wedge player now, and he's not a bad putter.
He's getting better as the years have gone on.
Yeah, exactly. He's getting better.
He's played his best golf the last few years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then with this coming week, they're staying in Hawaii playing the Sony Open. Last year, Justin Thomas shot a 59 in the first round here, so everybody's kind of talking, hyping JT up going into it. I saw a stat this morning where over the last, I think it was maybe 10 seasons, they added just total strokes under par. Take a wild guess who has the most strokes under par at the Sony Open last 10 seasons.
Last 10 seasons, I'm going to guess Tiger Woods.
Charles Howell III.
Oh, that was a lame guess. I thought that was going to be a cool Tiger stat.
Tiger doesn't even play the Sony Open.
Charles Howell III.
Yeah, and he's playing this week. If anybody out there plays DraftKings Golf, pick up my boy Chucky 3 Sticks.
That's my pick this week.
Yeah, he's good. And I saw another stat about Chucky 3 Sticks is he has the second longest streak of consecutive seasons to make $1 million on the PGA Tour. I think it's like 12 or 13 seasons in a row he's made over $1 million.
Good for Chucky 3 Sticks.
Yeah. I mean, I may be totally off on the amount in a row, but it's something like that.
You got anything else on the golf, Hunter?
That's it.
All right, so Producer Pete, you on back there?
I am on.
All right, overrated, underrated. You picked them this week. Let's hear them.
First one is McDonald's.
McDonald's. I'm going to say McDonald's gets bashed a lot, and I like my McD's. I like my chicken nuggets, so I'm going to go underrated on McDonald's. Hunter, what do you think?
So, a week ago, I would have said overrated just because I hated it. And then when I was flying back from New York a couple days ago, it was midnight, and I flew into Austin, driving back to College Station, and there's nothing, like no restaurants between Austin and College Station. And so we stopped at a McDonald's, and I was like, well, crap, this is all we got. I'm starving. I'll stomach some McDonald's. So I ordered the Quarter Pounder, and it was good. Like, I'm talking, this was a good burger. Now, I don't know what it was. I'm not saying it was beef, but it tasted really good. So I'm going to go ahead and say underrated.
Cut, I already know what you're going to say, but go ahead. Give me your McDonald's overrated.
McD's is overrated. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I don't mind a McDonald's trip every once in a while, but for the majority, I'm saying it's overrated.
All right, Pete, next one. What do you think?
Wait, I got something to say about McDonald's real quick.
All right, go for it.
Usually I would have said underrated, but about a year ago, I bit into a chicken nugget that was frozen and liquidy, and I'll never eat there again. Way overrated.
Oh,
the
Pete.
most disgusting
bad.
thing ever.
That's really gross.
All right, next one is football/baseball cards.
Oh, I'll start this one. Football cards and baseball cards are way underrated. I used to collect football and baseball cards. I still got binders of them in my room. Those things are cool, man.
I'm the same way.
Underrated.
I got like 1,200 baseball cards sitting in my room at home.
Wow.
They're underrated. Side note: I have the Justin Verlander rookie card, so I pull for Justin Verlander every time I see him.
I remember when you got that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be worth something.
No,
Shoot, I hope so. Cud, what do you got?
Good.
I'm gonna go with y'all. Underrated, big time. I same with y'all. I have binders of them in my room back home, and
I think that's the
used
first
to
clean
love
sweep.
Opening. Yeah, I think you're right. But
That is the first clean sweep.
I used to love unwrapping in the plastic and see which ones I got.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Underrated, big time.
most exciting feeling: open a new bag of those football or baseball cards. Who do I have coming up?
I love it.
Yep.
Pete, what do you think?
Oh, way underrated.
Yep,
Good.
we both collect
Clean
them back
sweep.
today.
We still have like binders and buckets full of them in my room.
We sure do. I'm gonna keep those for a long time. All right, Pete. So what's the next one? Overrated,
The
underrated.
third one is Beats headphones.
Oh,
Mm.
Cud, you start this one off for us.
I'm gonna go off of who are you asking? I mean, if you ask, my dad about Beats overrated, underrated, he won't care. I mean, they don't listen to
I'm
I'm
asking you though.
I know, but as from a person my age, I'm gonna say, I mean, they're good speakers. I mean, but I only wear mine like if I'm going on a road trip, long car ride. Not like wearing them out in public because they're like big and stuff. I'd rather go in ear for in public, but I'm gonna go with neither. It's par.
Cud the par. That's the second time you've pulled that par card on these.
It's
overrated.
par. It's par.
All right, Hunter. What do you think?
I have a pair of Beats and I like them a lot, but I'm going to go overrated just because I think they're rated so highly. I know they're really overpriced and they're really expensive headphones, but I mean, that's not a knock on them. I think they're really, really good headphones. They're just rated so highly. I'm going to say they're overrated.
I'm gonna say they're overrated because I would never spend $300 on a pair of headphones. I don't care how good they are.
I agree. Trust me, I didn't buy them.
That is, I mean, if you get them for a gift, that's fantastic. If you want to buy them, that's your money. That's what you want to do with them. That's fantastic. But me personally, I guess I get it from the Dean Brown cheap side. But I'm not spending $300 on a pair of headphones. So, Pete, what else we got on here?
Well, I got to put my little intake here. I've had Beats headphones, and let me tell you, they're not worth it. I would rather I'd rather go get $20 Sony headphones. They work just as good.
They sure do, Pete. I got my white Sonys.
All right, next one is Hot Wheel cars.
Hot Wheel cars. Throwback, baby. Hot Wheels are underrated. Childhood right there, man.
Mm-hmm.
Love me some Hot Wheels. Mason, what do you think? Or go ahead, Honor. Go ahead.
So I had a bunch of Hot Wheels, but man, I was a big remote control car fan. So I'm going to say Hot Wheels themselves are overrated because I graduated to remote control cars, and that was where I spent a lot of my childhood. Oh, yeah.
That's horrible.
What do you think, Mason?
Oh, the biggest underrated ever. That's childhood right there. Hot
We
Wheels
used to have
and Matchbox cars.
Yes.
I was an addict. I have so many of those still at home.
Me too.
Underrated, big time.
Pete, what do you think?
Oh,
Underrated?
way underrated. There's nothing else to say about it.
That's exactly right, Pete. All right, last one, Pete. What we got?
Last one is the Super Bowl performer himself, Justin Timberlake.
Oh, JT. Underrated. I love JT.
Yeah, I agree.
He's a great actor. He's a good singer. He's got some good music. I like him. Underrated.
I'm gonna go underrated because he is so talented. Like he's a performer,
Very
an
talented.
actor. I mean, he does a bunch of things pretty well. So I'm gonna go underrated.
Yeah, I agree. But what I don't like is
go
how
ahead.
we're sweet. I don't like how we're all agreeing. We need Sansom back.
Yeah, I know.
This isn't good. We're agreeing way too much. This isn't good.
I'm
We need devil's
on
advocate,
par with it.
Trent Sansom.
I'm
Go ahead,
pulling.
Pete.
I'm pulling a Cud. I'm on par with it.
On
He's
par.
not my kind of guy. I don't listen to his music, but he is a good performer, and he people like him. So on par.
I'll tell you what, I'm banning this on par stuff. I'm going to call that the Mason cut, and I'm banning
I
that.
said
from
I'm
now
pulling a
on.
cut.
No.
There is no such thing as on par. The two options are overrated or underrated. There's no
I
on
like it.
par.
I like it.
But back to what you're saying about Trent, man, we need Trent. We need Trent to argue with us and play devil's advocate and say that Big 12 is the best conference in college football.
Well, no, we
Wrong.
don't need any kind of that garbage. This is supposed to be a trustworthy podcast, and we put stuff out saying the Big 12 is the best conference in college football. People question it. I mean, that's bad.
Well, I'll give you a shout out, Trent. Shout out Trent Sansom. Hope you had fun on your Colorado ski trip, buddy.
Yep.
All right. Hey, good work today, Pete, on the Power 5 and the overrated, underrated. We'll have to get you more involved next time, Pete. Thanks for the help, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, last thing of the day. I'm going to take over the NBA DraftKings today. So I'm going to go with the expensive pick today. I'm going to go Andre Drummond. He is 8,700 playing the most garbage team on the planet, the Brooklyn Nets. He will plow tonight as he's coming back from injuries, back to playing full minutes. I like Andre Drummond. And then my cheap pick today, I'm going to go with Tyrone Wallace for the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers have no guards on that roster right now with both of their starting guards, Austin Rivers and Milos Teodosic. I think it's how you say his name. He's out. They just signed my man Tyrone Wallace, and he's got 25 and 20 his last two games on DraftKings. He's one of the only three guards that are healthy to play tonight, and he's only 3,800. So I think he's your pick tonight if you want a cheap guy on DraftKings.
Wow.
Anything else you got to add, Mason, on DraftKings tonight?
Oh my gosh, I'm just looking at the scoreboard right now of the games playing on right now. Detroit is playing Brooklyn, and Brooklyn is down 40.
Oh my gosh!
With 8 minutes left in the game, they're down 40.
Good Lord.
That's a terrible franchise. I have an idea for our next Power 5, guys, as we close out the show today. Power 5 worst professional sports franchises.
Okay.
Oh God.
Now, can we do other than the Cleveland Browns so we don't all have the same number one?
Good idea. We'll all banish the Cleveland Browns because we all agree it's number one.
Yeah. I mean, they're so far and away worse than every other franchise in every other sport that they don't even get.
They're a joke. So I'm gonna give a last second shout out to Harold Lefty Williams. Harlem Globetrotter gave our account a follow on Twitter. So shout out to my man Harold Lefty Williams.
Oh yeah.
So give us a follow, 903_sports on Twitter. We're up to 34 followers, boys. We're climbing.
Hey, you got to start somewhere, right?
That's exactly right. All right, that's our show today, 903 Sports. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.